Well, my name is Jorge Avila, and my focus, or my main area of focus, is information technology. I'm from a small little border town by the name of Del Rio. It's in Texas, and we had maybe a population of like about 5,000 people that lived in that little town. Some of the things that are the challenges and also the opportunities in living in a small little border town is the fact that it's small, so you get to know a lot of people. But also the challenges is the fact that there really isn't a lot of work there. You know, my parents, they were from Mexico. They moved over into, Texas. And so to be able to, my dad to get a living, they decided to go into working out in the fields. So we would travel. We were migrant farm workers. We traveled to Utah, Idaho, California. And so that's really the challenge in living in a small little town is the fact that work. My parents, one of the things that they always gave us or instilled in us is the work ethic. We, by the age, what I can remember, by the age of 10, I was out in the fields, working. And we would wake up like about 5:30 in the morning and start work. And we worked until anywhere from 9 to 10 hours, and that was every summer. Even when I wasn't working, I was taking care of my younger sisters. I have 5 sisters. Yeah, I was the first one to really continue my education. Even my parents, even though they instilled, working and that work ethic, they didn't really understand why I wasn't working and going to school. My mom, even my dad would say, mijo, get yourself a nice job, get married, and if you get a good job that pays you well, I mean, you got it, and that's the American dream. Well, it's funny is I started going to my first experience in college. There was a small little community college here in Sacramento City College. And when I first started there, like I said, I had no idea, what I was getting myself into. All I knew is that I really wanted, a little bit more than what I had. And then I see my older brother and my older sister, they have careers, but I really wanted a little different thing to myself, and I just signed up and then just started the classes. There was a lot of challenges, yeah, but I just kind of stuck with it. And then I finished I think it took me like about 2.5 years. Then I moved over to Sac State, and again. I knew a little bit more of getting into Sac State, but I still was very new and didn't really know too much. My communication or my mentors were people now that had gone to college and had gone to university. So that was one thing that kind of helped me was getting those mentors and those having a group that actually helped in dealing with the challenges that I had. Once I got into a city college, I really looked for counselors. For example, my first counselor at Sacramento City College was a great one, Latino, and he really helped in really understanding where I came from, and really kind of in a sense tell me my story, a story that had been in history, but I didn't really know it. Right, I just was in a very small little box, and so that helped me expand my vision, my goal as well. But yeah, I mean, it was just it is a continuing kind of like improvement on my side. Well, yeah, one of the biggest thing that I found about myself and the biggest challenge, and I always look at challenges as also as opportunities, is because when I was at Sacramento City College, I was dyslexic and I didn't really know I was. I'd never been tested. All I knew is that whenever I would read something, the words would just be, kind of moving around. And I remember there was an instructor. I was taking a sociology class, and she kind of said, well, why don't you read this? And I wasn't really too sure what she was doing, but I think she was testing me. And she said, well, read this other thing, and okay, why don't you do this math problem? And I was getting a little frustrated, and a lot of it is because I was having that challenge of really trying to put those words together. And so then at the end of a couple of sessions with her, she then said, you know what, I think you do need some a little bit more work on your reading, because I wasn't really, my family didn't really support, or not necessarily support, but their focus wasn't really necessarily on education. So if I went to school, my homework, I had to be self-motivated and everything else on that side. So I didn't really see the challenge or the problem that I had. Once I found out that I was dyslexic, and I wasn't necessarily, dumb, or that my vision was wrong, I just really felt a relief, because now I had a way to maybe help and to minimize this. And Sacramento City College did help me in that. One of the things that I would do differently is just try to identify those mentors, those individuals that can help me, and ask for help. I was so fearful of just even asking for that, and maybe a lot of it was my machismo at that time, where I don't need help, I can do it on my own. Getting that and understanding that there are so many roads that have been traveled by a lot of individuals that look like ourselves, and identifying someone that you look up to, and then just having them help you, guide you. And I think that's one thing that I could have, if I would have done that even in my high school years, because even in high school I never really, I was always by myself, not because I wanted to. A lot of it is because of we would kind of going back to working out in the fields, is our school time was cut shorter, because we would leave 1 month before school ended, and we would come back into school 1 month after. So the friendship never really created, and then the mentorship with teachers never really developed. So I think that's definitely something that I would do differently, is start looking at those teachers not as individuals that don't know what they're doing or don't really get me, but looking at more as how can I do better to be able to achieve what they have achieved. So I think mentorship is something that I really do suggest that everybody go out and get several.